Trying to get a handle on the healthcare market feels like trying to catch smokes these days, doesn't it?
It really does. So many moving parts, complex interactions.
Especially when you're looking at something as critical as cancer therapy.
Yeah.
Really understanding the landscape can feel, well, like scaling a mountain.
That's where we come in, hopefully. Think of us as your experienced guides, maybe, navigating some of that tricky terrain.
Exactly. And today, we're zeroing in on a particularly vital area, the global market for adult malignant glioma therapeutics.
Right. We've got a recent, pretty in-depth market research report as our, let's say, mapping compass. It gives a detailed analysis of this field right out to 2033.
So our mission in this deep dive, pull out the crucial intelligence from this report. You know, the current size, where it's headed, growth rates around the world, and the real forces shaping this sector.
Giving you a shortcut, basically, to understanding this essential therapeutic space.
Okay, let's get into it then. So according to the report, the global market for treating these aggressive brain tumors in adults, it's estimated at a pretty substantial USD, 1856.9 million in 2025.
Yeah, that's a big number to start with.
It is.
And what really catches the eye is where it's projected to go from there. The report sees this market more than doubling.
Doubling.
Yeah, hitting USD 951.57 million by 2033.
Wow, doubling in, what, just 8 years? And it's not just a slow climb, right? This growth is happening at a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR of 9.90% between 2025 and 2033.
9.9%. That suggests some serious momentum.
It really does.
And what's interesting is looking at what's, powering this. The report specifically mentions the increasing demand for treatments that are less invasive. That seems to be a key driver.
Oh, okay.
Patients are, it seems, looking for options that minimize disruption.
That makes sense. As tech advances, that push for less invasive approaches.
Yeah.
It resonates. Now let's kind of zoom out, get the global picture. Where's most of this activity concentrated now, and where's the biggest growth expected?
Right now, North America holds the largest piece of the pie. For 2025, it's estimated at over 40% of the global market.
Over 40%.
Yeah, with a size of about USD 687.05 million. But while it's the biggest player now, its projected CGR from 2025 to 2033 is a bit more moderate, around 8.3%.
Okay, so North America is dominant now,
Right.
but maybe not the absolute fastest growing region going forward. What about Europe?
Europe's another major market, holding over 30% share in 2025. That's about USD 538.50 million.
Still very significant.
Definitely. And within Europe, you see some interesting variations. Like the UK market is estimated at USD 90.47 million in 2025 with a CAGR of 9.7%.
Well,
Russia, in contrast, projected CGR of 7.9%. So some differences there.
it's interesting, those variations within one continent. Some countries are clearly on a steeper curve. Now let's look at a region often talked about for rapid development, Asia-Pacific.
And the report certainly backs that up here. APAC is projected to be the fastest growing region, hands down. While its 2025 market share is around 23%, about USD 445.66 million, its KGR from 2025 to 2033 is, well, it's an impressive 12.7%.
Wow, 12.7%. That is a significant jump compared to North America and Europe. Which countries in APAC are really driving that?
China's a major contributor. 2025 market size is estimated at USD 187.18 million, and the CGR is strong at 12.2%.
Right.
But India is showing even more dynamic growth. Its 2025 market size is smaller, USD 44.57 million, but the CGR is remarkable, 14.6%.
14.6%.
Yeah, these figures really underscore that rapid development, increasing healthcare access.
You mentioned it's not just diagnoses, right? It's infrastructure and insurance.
Exactly. It seems government initiatives in places like China and India, expanding insurance, investing in medical infrastructure, that's a huge factor. Better access means higher uptake of these therapies.
That paints a really clear picture of the opportunity there. What about the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa. They're smaller, but how are they looking?
So South America holds over 5% share in 2025, around USD 70.56 million. Projected CAGR is 10.6%, still double digits.
Yeah. Brazil leads there, about USD 30.2 million in 2025, CAGR of 11.2%.
Okay.
The Middle East, maybe 2% market share in 2025, size around USD 74.28 million, but growing fast too. CAGR of 11.2%. Saudi Arabia is a big part of that, USD 26.15 million in 2025, CAGR 11.5%.
And Africa?
Africa holds around 1% currently, about USD 40.85 million in 2025. Also showing strong growth, though, CGR of 10.2%. South Africa's key there, USD 14.38 million, 11.1% CGR.
So even the smaller markets are showing significant upward trends. Interesting.
Definitely. While North America and Europe lead now, APAC is the one to watch for speed, and these other regions have notable potential.
Right. So the market isn't just geographic, it's also broken down by the specific types of gliomas being treated. What does the report say there?
Well, it identifies several key types. You've got glioblastoma multiforme, anaplastic astrocytoma, anaplastic oligodendroglioma, anaplastic oligoastrocytoma, and then a category for others.
And glioblastoma multiforme, GBM, that's the most common one, right? And the most aggressive.
That's correct. Unfortunately, yes. So in terms of market size, does GBM account for the largest share?
As you'd probably guess, yes. Glioblastoma multiforme is expected to dominate the market. Just given its prevalence and how aggressive it is, the demand for treatments is highest there.
Makes sense. But what about growth rates within these types? Any surprises there?
Yes, actually. Interestingly, the report indicates that the anaplastic astrocytoma segment is the fastest growing within this market.
Huh. That's intriguing. So GBM is the biggest slice, but anaplastic astrocytoma is expanding fastest. Is that because of new treatments specifically for it, or maybe changes in diagnosis?
It's likely a mix. There has been progress in therapies targeting specific features of anaplastic astrocytoma. Plus, evolving diagnostic criteria, maybe better awareness, that could lead to more identified cases and a faster growing treatment market for that specific type.
Right, adds another layer. Okay, let's shift to how these gliomas are treated. What are the main therapy approaches the report looks at?
It segments by therapy into key areas. There's chemotherapy, including standard drugs like temozolomide, carmustine.
The mainstays.
Exactly. Then targeted drug therapy, agents hitting specific molecules in cancer cells like EGFR inhibitors or monoclonal antibodies like bevacizumab.
And radiation therapy?
And radiation therapy, yes. Targeted therapies, just to clarify, they're designed to attack specific molecules crucial for cancer growth, unlike chemo, which can hit healthy cells too.
Right, more specific, like the EGFR inhibitors you mentioned.
Exactly, targeting a protein that helps glioma cells multiply.
So which of these holds the biggest market share right now?
Currently, chemotherapy still holds the largest share. It's still, a foundational part of treatment protocols.
But I imagine we're seeing serious growth in those newer, more targeted approaches.
Absolutely. Targeted drug therapy is expanding rapidly. The report also flags tumor treating fields, TT fields, as an area seeing increased adoption.
TT fields. Right, that's the non-invasive one.
Exactly. Low-intensity electric fields applied to the scalp. They disrupt the division of cancer cells without hitting healthy brain tissue as much. Novocure's Optune device is the big example there.
That's a really different approach, using physics instead of just drugs. And what about the real cutting edge, like immunotherapy? Is that making inroads here?
Immunotherapy is definitely a significant trend. The report talks about CAR T-cell therapy emerging for gliomas.
CAR-T, modifying the patient's own immune cells.
Precisely. Taking their T-cells, engineering them to recognize and attack the glioma cells. They're exploring targets like EGFRV8, IL-13 RIASA2, ATR2, molecules found on some glioma cells.
Sounds incredibly promising. Still challenges, though, like getting past the blood-brain barrier.
That remains a major hurdle, yes, but the potential is enormous.
It really feels like the treatment landscape is transforming. Okay, let's dig into the why. What are the key market dynamics driving this overall growth?
The report points to a few key drivers. First, sadly, an increasing incidence of malignant gliomas globally.
Linked to aging populations and better diagnostics.
Exactly. Aging populations, better detection, finding more cases earlier. Second, as we've discussed, those big advances in targeted therapies and immunotherapy are offering new, potentially better options, fueling expansion.
Makes sense.
And third, just growing investment in oncology research, both public and private. That's crucial for developing these new treatments.
So more cases found, better treatments available, more money for research, logical drivers. Are there significant headwinds, things holding the market back?
Oh, yes, definitely restraints. A major one is the high cost of many advanced therapies. Immunotherapies, targeted drugs, they're expensive.
Limiting access, especially in some regions.
For sure, especially in lower income regions or places with reimbursement challenges. And that other big hurdle, the blood-brain barrier, it really complicates drug delivery to the tumor.
Still a massive challenge in neuro-oncology. So we have these push and pull forces. What are the big overarching trends shaping the future here?
Well, we've touched on some, but the continued rise of immunotherapy is huge. Checkpoint inhibitors helping the patient's own immune system. That's a major trend. The ongoing work on CAR-T for gliomas, that's critical to watch. And we're also seeing a more personalized medicine tailoring treatments to the specific genetics of an individual's tumor.
Definitely feels like a move towards more individual immune-focused treatments across cancer care. Now, this market isn't just science, it's also companies. What's the competitive landscape like?
It's characterized by several prominent pharma companies really active in R&D and selling these treatments. The report mentions Merck & Co., Hoffmann-La Roche, Bristol-Myers Squibb, Novocure, Pfizer.
The big names.
Exactly. They're heavily invested in cutting-edge therapies, running clinical trials, forming strategic alliances to speed things up.
And the report gave some specific examples of recent activity, didn't it?
It did. Like March 2022, the Ivy Brain Tumor Center starting trials on AstraZeneca's AZD1390 for recurrent gliomas. Or Novocure, collaborating with GT Medical Technologies back in May 2021, looking at combining TT fields with gamma-tile therapy.
Interesting combo.
And Pfizer launching biosimilars, including Zirabev for recurrent glioblastoma back in January 2020, just snapshots of the constant activity.
And just looping back to the regions, the report confirms North America had the largest share in 2025. Why was that again?
Right. North America's lead in 2025 comes down to a few things working together. Big R&D investment there, relatively high incidence rates compared to some places, and a well-established healthcare system that can adopt new therapies fairly quickly.
Got it. And as we highlighted, while North America leads now, APAC is set for the fastest growth. The drivers there.
That rapid growth expected in Asia Pacific. It's largely down to increasing access to healthcare and advanced treatments across many countries there, plus rising healthcare spending as economies grow. Better access equals faster uptake.
Okay, so bringing it all together, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive on the global adult malignant glioma therapeutics market. What are the absolute key takeaways for our listeners?
Okay, key takeaways. 1. The market's already big, nearly USD 1.9 billion in 2025, and set to grow significantly, approaching USD 4 billion by 2033.
Substantial growth.
2. Asia Pacific is really expected to be the growth engine, lots of future opportunity there. 3. Looking at glioma types, GBM is the biggest segment, but anaplastic astrocytoma is growing fastest.
Right.
4. Treatment-wise, chemo has the largest share now, but targeted therapy is expanding rapidly, and innovations like TT fields and CAR-RT are gaining ground.
Okay.
And finally, 5. Growth is fueled by rising incidence, treatment advancements, and research investment, but high costs and the blood-brain barrier are still major hurdles.
That's a great summary, hits all the critical points from the report, really underscores how dynamic this field is, which leads to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Given this rising incidence, the accelerating pace of science, and these different economic realities worldwide, how will all these factors actually converge? How will they shape the future of these glioma treatments? And maybe more importantly, patient access to these innovations globally?
Yeah.
What are the big ethical questions around cost? And what role do policy and investment need to play to make sure progress benefits everyone who needs it?
It's a really complex, really critical mix, isn't it? Science, economics, and the urgent need to improve things for patients facing these terrible diagnoses.
Definitely a lot to think about. Thanks so much for guiding us through this deep dive today.
My pleasure.
Until our next exploration.